Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Thanks for all the likes, comments and new subs from the last video, in which I reviewed Jacob Collier's new album. This video is something completely different, so hopefully we can keep you as an audience. I've gone back and listened to Jesse Volume 1, so I will be giving my opinions on that soon. I will be back reviewing and ranking my entire CD collection in the near future as well, but I had another idea for a series called A Bunch of Fives, in which I do a list of top fives. Today's bunch of fives is 5 times a support band completely blew away the headliner. If you could all like and subscribe to help grow the channel into a wholesome community to chat about music, that would be lovely. Okay, on with the video. 5 gigs I have been to where the support act completely blew away the headliners. That doesn't sound very catchy. Anyway, let's get on with it. Round 1. Iggy Pop Vs Green Day, Distortion Festival, 23rd of July 2002. This was my first festival at 14 years old, 22 years ago, 22 years. Insert every cliche about life being too short, flying by too fast, getting old and it feeling like it was only yesterday here. We were treated to a great day of early noughties Britpunk with the likes of Sponge singing Kicking Pigeons in the Park. I remember a band called Raging Speedhorn obliterating everything in their path, and a song called Nothing by a band called A, who would never give themselves such a bad name now in this Google search world. After a long day, penultimate act, sweating lunatic Iggy Pop came on and threw himself around like a 19-year-old maniac. He was so full of energy, embarrassing rock frontmen half his age and every other band going. Even though he was jumping around and feeding off the crowd, he still sounded like the albums with a wall of sound behind him. There's a lot of bands still going from many moons ago that don't have the youthful edge they once had, but the Stooges songs sounded just as class as they did 30 years prior. Henry Rollins does a fantastic bit in his spoken word shows about having to follow Iggy Pop on stage, and to cut a long story short, he felt he couldn't follow Mr. Pop's legendary live show, and everyone knows how intense Mr. Rollins is. So Green Day had the impossible job of following the Igster. As a massive fan of Dookie, I found the whole show really disappointing. They took an age to come on, spent 25 minutes going whoa to the crowd, and the crowd going whoa back, and then Green Day would go whoa, and then the crowd would go whoa, and 25 minutes of that, like I say, was very tedious. They then invited someone from the crowd to play guitar with them, something they do at every gig, which is nice of them to give so many fans a memory of getting to play with Green Day. They didn't think of picking someone from the front row though, they decided to choose a kid miles back within a sea of people. So the kid takes 12 minutes to get on stage, and then once he gets there, they have to teach the kid the song, which takes another 23 minutes. It's clear that the kid who is picked has never played guitar before. If you get the chance to play with Green Day, they don't audition you, so you're obviously just going to put your hand up, aren't you, if you get to go on stage with Green Day. If they do it at every gig, there should be an audition everyone has to do on entry. Give them a green sticker if they can play the opening bars of Knowledge by Operation Ivy, so you know when to pick them. At least when the Dropkick Murphys get someone up at every gig, they don't spend half their set giving them a one-to-one lesson on how to sing whilst the rest of us wait. Don't mind us, Green Day. Cue triggered Green Day fans in the comments. If a kid gets up that can't play, Green Day should just humour them. Say, yeah, that sounds good, are you ready? Then once they start, just turn the amp off. It's that simple. Round 2. Sin Vs Lars Frederiksen and the band. I don't have the actual date or venue to hand, so I'm going to make it up. February 13th, 2005, in either Liverpool or Manchester Academy. I think Liverpool. I hadn't been privy to psychobilly until I saw this band called Sin from Germany support Lars Frederiksen and the band. The upright bass was assaulted rather than played. The guitars were so joyously twangy it sounded like Johnny Cash and Tim Armstrong had a baby whose favourite band was the Meteors. Then there's the frontman, Mr. Charisma, Mr. Big Presence, both literally and metaphorically. He must have been about 6'7". Huge beefy mohawk to boot. He was experimenting with a megaphone as well, that's something I've never seen a band do before or since. Like Iggy, their live performance was as crisp as a CD. Their performance made me buy numerous albums, with Survival of the Sickest in particular as an album I listened to on repeat for 4 months. Proper 10 out of 10 record. They gave it their all that night, destroying everything in their path, leaving nothing for Lars to feed on. With the audience needing a lie down, Lars came on and did his best to match the whirlwind and excitement of Sin, which he failed to replicate. Which says a lot, because every time Sin ranted, Lars puts in 100% into his performance and leaves everything on stage. Blood, sweat and tears. Lars did the best he could, even though their set was solid. No one was following Sin that night. Round 3. Terrestrials versus Sonic Boom 6. I'd been a huge Sonic Boom 6 fan as a teen, never listened to them now though for some reason, so naturally when they were in town I popped along. As with Sin, I had no idea about this 3-piece unassuming Cockney support band Terrestrials. I was instantly hooked by everything about this band, the anarcho-light vocals that have range, the quick switches from punk blasts to funky jazz ska guitar, and the dub bass interludes. They were so much more than a punk band or a ska band. They made you angry at the wheels whilst tapping your foot to a groovy, unique sound. This band just clicked for me. Everything is perfect about them. I feel like the Terrestrials is my band. I can't really explain it. Maybe you have bands who you feel belong to you somehow because everything is perfect about them. It was a magic moment like when I first heard NOFX or the Ramones or Plan B, or Mad Sin to a much lesser extent. 4 years later they released Tales of Terror and it became my favourite album of all time. That said, this accolade changes on a regular occurrence. I don't remember Sonic Boom 6's set at all. All I remember is Layla Boom saying how good the Terrestrials were and how handsome Jay Terrestrial was. Alright Layla, calm down. They became my favourite band. They're one of now probably top 10, 5 at a push. Round 4. Evil Blizzard vs Goldblade, April 12, 2013, the Continental Preston. Evil Blizzard didn't end up becoming my favourite punk band like Mad Sin and Terrestrials, nor were they a band I'd heard before like Iggy Pop. They just put on the most weird, crazy rock and roll show I've ever seen and blew Goldblade away. A band who upstaged the Misfits according to Link to Wales website head honcho Neil Crudd in his review of the gig. I'll put a link to it in the description. Evil Blizzard consisted of 4 bass players, everyone wearing these weird crazy old man masks, a member of the band running around with a smoke extinguisher. Just total chaos ensuing. It actually felt a bit intimidating to be part of the crowd, as there was much participation whether you wanted there to be or not. Every inch of the room was their stage. It felt dangerous. The music was a bit Hawkwindy, just deep sounds that weren't even that noticeable due to how crazy the visuals were. It could have just been one long song for all I know. I can't really do it justice, but if you ever get the opportunity to go and see him live, you have to go. I had seen Goldblade a few times prior to this gig and they never had trouble getting the whole crowd on their side. They performed memorable shows with lead singer John Robb acting like a punk rock pastor, asking every member of the audience one by one if they believe in the power of rock and roll. But all I remember about their set was John asking the audience to come up to the front of the stage and everyone being reluctant to do so. He wasn't used to the audience being exhausted by the previous band and just kept on insisting everyone come up to the front, where it got to the point of him sounding like a head teacher who had lost his patience with a naughty crowd who really weren't bothered about disobeying the authority. It was a surreal moment seeing apathy for Goldblade. I did see Evil Blizzard again a few years later at Rebellion Festival and it wasn't quite the same. The venue was too big for them. This was one of their first gigs I saw and that will always stay with me as a memory of the support band completely outshining the headliner. Round 5. The Interrupters vs NOFX, Slam Dunk Festival, Leeds, 25th of May 2019. There was another band at this festival who I could have picked instead of the Interrupters, but their singer has been doing lots of horrible things allegedly as of late, so much so the band split up instantly and deleted their entire online footprint. I have an album of theirs coming up to be reviewed, but as said allegations are so fresh I won't be reviewing it. We could have a whole conversation about separating the art from the artist one day. I may even do that on the channel. But why not give the Interrupters some credit instead? They were great. They brought a fantastic punk, pop, ska feel good vibes with them. They put on a really good show. The crowd loved them and they loved the crowd. This entry is more about how disappointing NOFX were. NOFX are the best and worst band I've ever seen. When they're on point, they are an unstoppable force. When they are rough, aka when Fat Mike is absolutely sloshed and in an obnoxious mood, they are just the worst, and I got the worst that day. Their setlist was pretty dire. It was like they had said, let's play our most average, forgettable songs and let's get Melvin to sing them. I don't mind Melvin's voice, but Fat Mike is the lead singer I grew up with. So I nipped to the toilet and they started playing Separation of Church and Skate, which is one of their best songs. I held things in and I ran back to enjoy it. The intro went on and on and on and on, and when I could see the band as well as hear them, I saw the reasons for the 4-minute intro into a 3-minute song. Fat Mike and Eric Melvin were shoving each other in a manner that really didn't seem playful, whilst El Jefe and Smelly kept playing the same riff over and over and over, looking very confused. I left the festival after about 20 minutes of NOFX. I was absolutely fuming. The main reason I was there all day was to see them. The first punk band I ever got into, the band I have the most CDs by, the band I've seen 7 or 8 times and given me some of my best live music experiences. The Fat Mike Happy Hour just destroyed all that. NOFX don't care about their fans. They even wrote a song about it in 2006, 13 years before this gig, and that's when they've admitted to be phoning it in. How long haven't they cared since 2006? 60%. That gig left me with a real bitter taste in my mouth and I didn't go to another gig for ages. I didn't go to a single gig the year after in 2020. And that's my list. Were you at any of these gigs? Do you have any stories like mine in which a support band blew away the headliners? What should I do the next bunch of 5s on? If you could like the video and subscribe to the channel, that'll honestly make my day. Thanks for making it all the way to the end. See you in the next one.